Hi everyone, welcome back to Boomerang. Today we're going to be discussing our business pivots which have occurred throughout the semester this year. If you're not sure what Boomerang is, go check out some of our other videos on our YouTube channel. You'll see a commercial, you'll see some background information, you'll see a nice hangout with all of us as well, so go check those out. And so we want to discuss our pivots and not only how our business has pivoted, but also how our YouTube channel has pivoted. And so I want to discuss with you guys a little bit about how our business has pivoted, first of all. So originally Aaron came up with the idea as just a social media platform of like teaching older generations how to use social media. So like say Facebook to stay in touch with like your grandkids, your kids, even old like lost relatives. And so ultimately like we expanded that into doing basic things such as like Google, even simple stuff on an iPhone, so like how to airdrop. Megan, do you want to talk a little bit more how we expanded upon that?
Yeah, so we basically just wanted to expand into those other different areas of the internet like Google Drive and Zoom, because those tools can be very useful with connecting with your family just as much as social media. So we wanted to make sure that with our target market being a little bit older, that they were comfortable, if they aren't comfortable using social media, that they still had other options and ways to connect with their family that way.
And this ultimately helped us grow how we wanted to provide the product. So ultimately we came up with an idea of like doing a tiered subscription. So in some of those basic videos, we wanted to just give them like even just the basics of an iPhone, the basics of a Google account, and then they can work up to some of the other social media platforms, because obviously you need kind of that like bare minimum of like understanding how the technology works before you can move on to everything else. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the largest pivots that we did was, figuring out what to expand to and what our target market needs to learn first before ultimately getting to like those social media platforms that a lot of people use nowadays. Another pivot that we did, so this would be our second business pivot, came from expanding for the actual Boomerang users. Initially, we just wanted it to be an education program, and then in discussing with some of the people outside our organization and outside our business, they said, well, why don't you turn it into kind of a social media platform at the same time? So Johnny, do you want to talk a little bit about like what we did there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the main idea at first is just going to be strictly an education-based platform where you help someone who's a little bit older learn different types of technology and try and get back in like connection with their family or whoever else they might care about. But one of the like great features of doing that is, while we're trying to make these connections with their own family members, a lot of our target market is a little bit more lonely or doesn't always connect with people. So being able to have a community learn with you is huge. And even for me personally, going through certain things and being in organizations on campus, doing them with other people is a huge thing, and it's a huge driver for me to stay in those organizations. So bringing what we learned in other organizations and being able to apply it to Boomerang it's huge.
Yeah, so like not only are you gonna drive home to them the educational benefits of using our platform, but also making a connection with other users on the platform. So not only they could go on there to learn, but they can also go on there to connect with other people. Yeah. And even if they're not, going on there to watch a video to learn, they can still communicate and do that on that platform. Which brings me to our third pivot within the business, and who we were marketing ultimately like our business and product to. Initially, we wanted to market it to those older folks. But then I think as we kind of discussed within our internal teams and some other people, we kind of transitioned into something else. Aaron, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I feel like that kind of ties into the original idea of Boomerang, is that, all of us young people have helped our parents and grandparents for so long with their technology. And so when you think about getting these older folks this platform, presenting it to them, they're not really going to stumble across it themselves. They might, which would be great, but for the most part, we decided and we researched and thought that, their adult children or people younger than them in their lives would be the ones to be bringing them the technology and bringing them to Boomerang. And that kind of ties in also to our commercial that we have just produced, which is a little bit more lighthearted and comedy-esque. And yeah, so that just kind of is more directed towards the adult children and younger age ranges. So, yeah.
Definitely. Just in a quick summary, some of the business pivots that we did were expanding the content that we had on the platform, so not just social media, but like basics with iPhones and other apps and platforms. We also wanted to create a community base, so not just education, but also give them the ability to communicate with other people on the platform. And then kind of pivoting our marketing scheme with that as well to figure out how we can best get our product into the hands of customers that will use it. That's going to transition into how we pivoted our YouTube channel then. Now the YouTube channel was related to our business idea, but it did have a little bit of a different aspect. If you want to go check out, as Aaron said, our commercial or anything like that, we're going to discuss our first pivot here. A lot of days, like now we have iPhones, a lot of different things. You don't always need those new cameras in order to get that. I mean, you can do 4K on your own iPhone now, so it's kind of crazy how far technology has come. So how did we kind of pivot how we wanted to develop and design our YouTube channel? Like, how did we develop that? Johnny, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I know for sure, at least whenever we first started, some of the things we were learning how to use the iPhone originally, like even at the beginning of this class, is how to set it up for, production quality off the iPhone, which a lot of the iPhones have that capability now. But another great resource that we have at Pitt is that we can actually get out production equipment through our own library. So, like what we're recording with right now is one of those pivots that we had. The videos that I made, my first webinar that I did on my own before we had all come together as a group, I recorded that on my phone and I used the voice memos on my phone. But now we have, like this Blue Yeti microphone, which is a great production quality microphone. Professionals actually use as well as a 4K camera. That's just something that just really ramps up like the quality of the videos, and it adds to the credibility of what we're actually trying to do here.
Yeah. That was a significant pivot for us, especially because it makes you seem much more credible, especially when you're producing these videos and putting them out for everyone to see then. So our second YouTube channel pivot came from how we developed and designed the commercial for our product. So I think initially we had an idea of like how we wanted to get it into the hands of the customers, but we realized based off other commercials that we've seen nowadays that you kind of have to be a little bit out there and take some bold risks in order for people to understand and like think of your product when something like this comes up. So Aaron, do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. The commercial was a lot of fun. That we had a lot of fun filming it, and we were able to use the camera and the equipment that we rented out, which was really great. And yeah, some of our ideas with the YouTube channel, or with some of the ideas with our commercial, was that we wanted to make it more engaging and make it more engaging for the adults or for the people that would be getting it into the hands of the older users. And some of the more engaging qualities that we decided to incorporate were the FaceTime call, and then also some fun props like the wheelchair and what else do we use?
The
Christmas tree. Yeah, so those were all like fun aspects to incorporate and get everybody's attention.
Yeah, especially to like hit specifically our target market. But I think another part of business is seeing that it is a group effort in business, and I think that was our third pivot when it came to the YouTube channel. Now, in theory, you could just say, oh, okay, like one person can like do this video and another person can do this video, and I don't think we felt like that was the right thing to do because we were business partners and like we wanted to develop and show that we're working on this like all together, and it's not like, oh, you're just going to do this, you're just going to do this. And so ultimately that led to a pretty big like decision of how we wanted to work on it, right?
Yeah.
Megan, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so basically when we were planning out all of our videos, we all decided that we wanted to be in the Hangout and have at least one video that we were all in there together so that our users could, one, get to see all of our faces, get to know us a little bit better, but also just like Devin said, like keeping it very cohesive, making sure that it was a team effort, and it definitely was, even though some of the other videos will be done like individually. We wanted to at least have one where we could all like come together and kind of collaborate and just talk about the idea overall.
And that's kind of why we did the pivot story like this. Like we could each individually talk about a pivot, but I feel like it doesn't kind of wrap, like the decisions we made weren't like individually, they were all together. So it's best that we discussed all the pivots together, I feel like. So one of the last pivots that we had within our YouTube channel was actually very varied video lengths. So if you actually go through our YouTube, that first hangout we did was probably about a half an hour. We just discussed, like things in technology that like even we don't understand, like how fast it's growing, and then like why it would be very confusing for adults and grandparents nowadays to do that. But then we even did like a 30-second film that is also on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out, which is a great story, by the way. Johnny, do you want to talk a little bit about how we kind of varied all of that as well?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things with trying to capture someone's attention, especially with different platforms, is you need to have the varied lengths, because each video is going to cover something different. So you're going to need to take more time in one video and less in another. And to keep your users engaged, that's really important. And another thing we looked at, me and Megan were talking about this, we got a lot of inspiration from one of the TikToks that we saw with our interview, and we loved the idea. So we decided to go after that, and that's how we came up with like the YouTube Short, because that's something that Google and a couple of the other apps have taken from TikTok, which has exploded recently, and that's something where a lot of those users that we could capture, they would be on those apps, and we want to give them a story that will capture their emotions and everything else, and that's what we try to do with those different videos. So
yeah, I feel like we really came together for this project, not only in terms of like how we wanted to like do the business, but also in doing the YouTube channel and creating all the content for it. And so in summary, we have transitioned, as any business does grow and change as time goes on. So even though it was just over the course of 3 months this semester, we had 3 major pivots for our business. And then for our YouTube channel, we had a number of different pivots with like using different equipment, varying video lengths, us deciding to all be in videos, as you can see here, and the Hangout one, and then also kind of doing like different marketing schemes, especially in our commercial. So yeah, it was great working with these guys this semester, though. They're a great group, so hopefully you'll see more from us in the future, and we thank you for listening to Boomerang.
all right.